and the reading of the Proclamation of 1916. So we shall begin with that. The Proclamation of Public Nohairden, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to our flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through our secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through our open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizens' Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment and, supported by our exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irishman and Irishwoman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided the majority from the minority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the Provisional Government, hereby constituted, will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, Pádraig Pearse, Eamon Cant, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a brief ceremony, but we must remember what these people were about in 1916. These young men, idealists, their revolution was as much as about culture as about freedom of the country itself. It kept our language alive. It kept our music alive. Remember the old saying, Tír gan teanga, tír gan anam. The country without its language is a country without its soul. This is what they gave us. They were executed for daring to stand up against the British Empire. Their only crime was they were Irish. We are thankful to them that we can stand here under our own tricolour in our own free country. To conclude this morning, tomorrow we will go to the Republican plot in the old cemetery in Cobh. In the massacre in Clonmulton in 1920, 14 members of the flying column were killed, 12 on the day, 2 executed later, 4 Cobh men. Well, there is a man with us this morning, Captain James P. Ahern. His nephew Brian is standing beside us here today. So it's a real touch of history. Following on in 1916, the War of Independence occurred. The consequences for many families around Ireland was war and death, obviously. Cobh lost 4 men that day. 14 in total were lost in what was some quaintly called the worst defeat that the IRA ever had. It was not a defeat in a battle. It was not a battle. They were burned out of a cottage, put up against the wall, and died horrible deaths. That was the way of the British at the time. So tomorrow we will remember what happened, and we will also reiterate the fact that many, many historians have said, when we remember the men in Cobh, what happened in Clonmult was nothing short of a war crime. And Britain should be petitioned to apologise for that. Now, this garden is just about complete. Some people might see here, mightn't have seen in the last few years, the proclamation. When you look at the proclamation, you might think, oh, well, it looks a bit messy. It doesn't. It's a replica of the original proclamation, where they had to use different printing presses, had broken letters, didn't have the sufficient ink. So this is an exact replica that Pearse read out at 16 minutes past 1 on the 24th of April in 1916, where all this began. This garden wouldn't be looking as it is, except for Ursula Woods here. It's her own personal garden. Herself and Ray, we were here yesterday, and we had to take down the flag and clean it and what have you, but Ursula's here every day. To finish the garden, I was surprised myself yesterday, the amount of people coming through here. It is now one of the most popular places in Cobh, and we promise, we will have a notice board, an information board telling you the story of the garden. So we'll make sure that will happen. We also need to clean the monument out in the old cemetery, and tomorrow we'll be announcing, but we will ask here, anyone that wants to come on board with us to form a committee, that we make sure that that monument is restored to the splendour that it was when it was put in place so many years ago. So now, before we leave, we need to go back and remember the men of 1916. And now I'll ask Ursula Duffy to come forward and place the wreath, please. Thanks, Ursula. Could I ask you, please, in respect of all who died in 1916, that we face the flag for a minute's silence, please. Margaret. So that concludes it for this year. I hope to see a lot of you again, hopefully tomorrow. Thanks to Liam O'Sullivan there in front of me with the camera, Cobh Community for Change, a great supporter of ours. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. It's important that we remember these great men and women that fought for our country, stay true to the cause, and Fábhacht Bú.